Good morning, class. So today we're going to be going over basically what we did yesterday, but in a little bit more detail. So I'm just going to quickly go over the notes, jump into the examples, and show you how you choose the right graph. So looking at this, we have function notation to point two points to identifying the graph. So we already did this table. So we have input that goes into this rule up here, and it creates this output, right? And I kept in functional notation. And we put it into our coordinate point. Now, our coordinate points are going to be placed onto the graph. And you can actually see the points put all together. We have a line. So these are linear graphs. And we can see semblance of that in our equations. So we have f of x equals 2x plus 1. Remembering that f of x is the same thing as saying y, and we have y equals 2x plus 1. Then it starts looking like a linear equation, right? Y equals mx plus b. So the 2 would be our m and the plus 1 is the b. That's why those coordinates, when we plot them, look like a line, because this is in fact a linear equation. And it's a function, so we would say this is a linear function equation. Here's me connecting all the dots. And it would in fact pass the vertical line test because any vertical line I do along this would in fact only cross through our line once. So it is a vertical line. It's a function. So now let's look into the practice. So I'm going to be setting it up. I gave you inputs -2 to 3. I skipped 2. I did it on purpose. You're going to show your work like I did here, your output using the functional notation, and write that coordinate. From there, you're going to try to see, sorry, it splits, which one of these is representing the right one. And there's a couple things you can look for. One, the slope, and I wrote this all up here. You can look at the slope and the y-intercept, which is number 2. You can look by point, and you can also use the Desmos graphing calculator, which I'm going to open up because I am going to show you guys how to use. But first things first, let's jump into it. So I'm going to do all my calculations with you. F of 1 equals, then we substitute -3, -1 for my x plus 2, and that equals -3 times -1 is +3 plus 2 equals 5. So that means the f of -1 equals 5. My input was -1 and my output was +5. First point. You can tell that already this worked because if you look at the slope or the m in your original equation, it says that it's going down by 3. Now it went -2 to -1, so there's no jumps in my my input values, and it did in fact go down by 3. So we had 8 minus 3 equals 5. That's just a quick way to kind of do a quick visual to make sure you're right. Next one I'm going to do is f of 0 equals -3 times 0 plus 2 equals, if you want, you can always use the Desmos calculator to solve for this. I'm going to quickly show you how to do that. This is Desmos for calculating. You have -3 times that by 0, then plus, I cannot remember, plus 2, and over here you have the answer. So I'm going to write that. Could have also just remembered 0 times anything equals 0. So we have f of 0, I forgot the f, of 0 equals 2, and that means my input was 0 and my output was 2. F of 1 equals -3 times 1 plus 2 equals, now I'm going to use Desmos again because I see the negative, and that's a little complicated. I want to make sure I get it right. So it's -3 times, oops, did I forget to clear this? I forgot to clear this. So clear all. -3 times 1 plus 2 equals -1. I apologize, I'm a little sniffly. I'm trying not to do it while I have the recorder on. Equals -1. This one's fun to write, 1, -1. Next one, we have f of 3 equals -3 times 3 plus 2. So we have -3 times 3, which is -9. -9 plus 2 would be -7. We have f of 3 equals -7, which means 3 was my input and -7 was my output. Now remember that I told you a little while ago, oh, look at -3. Now you'll notice that does not work here. I went from -1 to -7. The reason that doesn't work is because if I look x equals 1 and then x equals 3, what did I not have? I did not have an x equals 2. So you do have to be very, very aware if you do use that trick. Always look at the input as well as the output. Now, looking at all this, we can actually determine the graph. Now, I think there's 3 different ways to do this. One is by the actual points we get. So we'll just grab 2 points at random. I'm going to do -1 and 5. I'm going to remember this one. And I'm going to do 1 and -1. Why not? So then I look here, and I want to make sure there's a -1 and 5 and a -1, 1. -1 and 5. This one has it. This one does not. So it looks like it's choice B, right? So far choice B based on just having 2 points. Now 2 says I can use M and the B. All right, that makes sense. So my B is 2, so it means I'm crossing a 2, and I'm going down by 3 and over 1, right? Because -3 is over 1. So which ones cross at 2? Well, this crosses at 2 and this crosses at 2. This crosses at -2, so choice C is out. So 2 and 2, and then I want to see if it's going down. So looking at this graph, it's going up, right? Reading it from left to right. Looking at this graph, it's going down. So this is choice B. Once again, proving choice B. Third and final way, if you want to be super fancy with your calculator, you open this link, which I already did. I'm just going to copy this right here. Then I'm just going to, whoops, wrong one, drop it right there. Boom. So actually, full disclosure, this is how I make your choices. So you're going to notice that it's crossing a 2 and it's going down, which once again is just like B. It's crossing a 2 and it's going down. So my correct answer must be B. I'm even going to spell it correctly. I am only doing this one with you, and you guys are going to take the second one away. So some things I want to point out. I'm actually going to be, you're not going to see this one in yours. It's going to be a negative F. You have to remember to add that 1 as you're substituting. I will leave it in this section, but you will not see it in this section. Other than that, I think you guys got it, and I look forward to grading your work.